I'll dream until I make it real, and all I see is.
Welcome to Mentorship Monday with Michelle and Maren, and we have been having technical difficulties, but we're
Oh
here.
my, guys, this is like take number 45. Like, this is ridiculous.
It is. It's Canada Day, and we are having a good time with the connection. So hopefully this will go through. Hopefully this will work out.
And this is so much like Groundhog's Day. Let me tell you what Michelle's done for Canada Day. She saw the fireworks last night. She has the day off. I know this because I've heard it 45 times. Oh.
Yes. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And we've also discussed the fact that Maren was so like enthralled in the fact that Canada Day and Independence Day, the birthdays, were so close together that we called you out more than once as viewers to let us know why that is. Because we still don't know.
You guys, I'm so curious about this. I've asked the question 45 times. I want to know, why is Canada Day and the 4th of July so close together? Like, that seems so like such a coincidence, right? Why?
It is. It's got to mean something. It really does. But we might as well just dive right into it.
Seriously, before this happens again. Guys, this is going to be a 15-minute segment.
Yes. Yes.
Before-
We did start we obviously know what our topic is because we did start talking about it a little bit, but we didn't really get into the meat and potatoes, so fingers crossed that we're able to keep going, because I have a feeling there might be a little bit of playing around energy with us too, so have a little fun.
Little fireworks in the internet, I think is what's happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Little change in the air.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sip my tea.
I know, I've got tea today too. I never have tea, and I have tea.
Neither do I. I've got green tea today.
Okay, I'm just going to take us off topic. So sorry if we get lost in the middle of this, but okay, this is so cool. I found this natural herbalist that does facials, and then she gives you products like from her garden. So like the products I put on my face are like the oils and whatnot from the plants in her garden, because I have that perioral dermatitis, and like nothing's worked.
Right.
And I went there and it's been working. And so this is tea from the plants in her garden that's supposed to help my skin. So I've been drinking it. So
wow. Look at that. So where did you find her? Was she on the internet or?
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, no. I was at the singing bowl party, and there was an herbalist there, and I was talking to her, but she does like fertility herbalism.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to her about my face, and she goes, "Oh, you got to go to my friend. She can cure any face condition." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, okay." And so I'm on like week 2, and I feel like my face looks so much better. And I'm drinking her very tasty tea. I'm like, I'm gonna get all sorts of tea from her because this is so delicious. So
wow,
I'm so excited. I know, isn't that
is
cool?
exciting. That is. I love these new discoveries of. It's funny because when I'm like doing some research with different herbs and vitamins and all of these things, and it's old news, really. Like a lot of it is old news.
Yeah.
And I know that there's many people that have been holistically treating themselves for a very long time, but I get it. I'm like, I have just found the most amazing information. It's like hitting the jackpot. Like, I'm so excited. I've gone on and on about castor oil till the cows come home.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like one of my friends said something to me. She was talking about castor oil and said that she's like a glistening star every day because she rubs castor oil, and it's like a youthing. She uses face serum. So I started to moisturize with castor oil, and I'm not kidding you. Like, I haven't had breakouts, because I would always break out like in the hormonal area, like around here. And I haven't had breakouts like that for a very long time. Yeah, it's amazing stuff.
You need to try it.
Yeah,
okay.
Good.
Okay.
So,
All right.
So I do know what we're talking about today, but I'll let
Yeah.
you start it out.
Okay. So I asked Michelle 45 other times about, actually, that's not true. Sometimes we didn't get this far.
Hmm. That's true.
Um, okay. So I asked Michelle, um, okay, we're on this healing journey, and I feel like I've done a really good job of healing a lot of my relationships, but then something will happen where I will get like triggered from the past, and then it just brings everything back up again. And I feel like I know that I'm healed. I appreciate love, the person in my relationship, all these relationships that I have, but like, how do I get rid of that? How do I slough that stuff?
Hmm.
Am I supposed to? I don't even know, but it's causing problems because it's heavy, it's old, and it's making me react. Like
Yeah.
I guess that's what I'm saying is like my mental mind, my spiritual mind is here, but then
Hmm.
my active emotional mind is still here
Hmm.
sometimes,
Hmm.
and then it causes like like cyclical arguments.
Yeah.
And so how do I leave the past in the past if I feel like me and the people that I have these relationships with are on a path forward? So it's not
Right.
like they're hurting me and I take it, and then I let them hurt me again and I take it. It's
Right.
like I feel
Right.
like we're both healed, and but I've got this
Hmm.
underlying.
That's a good, like, it is a really good topic because and we've talked about this for now, I think, several weeks. I brought up little pieces of things that I've not so much been triggered by, but I guess in a way, yes, because I was going back to thinking about what happened and did I do the right thing, and like feeling that heaviness from it and everything. And first of all, like, how when something comes up to us, when it comes up as either a memory or a feeling, um, we have to assess what exactly that feeling is. So if something's coming up to us and it's coming up as a real heaviness, as discomfort, we need to investigate that in itself, because everything comes from within us. It does not matter what is happening on the outside of us. When a feeling comes up, when a memory comes up, it's coming up to gift us something. It's coming up to let us know something. So, what exactly is that? Well, it doesn't mean that this is coming up because I still have something in me that I need to get rid of. Possibly it's coming up because there is change that's taking place. There is forward movement that's happening, and this is coming up as a acknowledgement, as a recognition, to be able to say, wait a minute, okay, I remember this feeling, I remember where I was. A cycle is changing, because remember, we are consistently having these shifts within cycles, and some of these smaller cycles are within these bigger cycles. So part of the healing journey is recognizing and having awareness to, where are we headed, right? Where are we today? Where are we headed? What no longer works for us? What no longer, this relationship did not work in the way it was, so we shifted it. Does that mean we shifted it and we're together in the same direction? Maybe, maybe not. It might mean that a relationship has changed. It might mean that a romantic relationship is now a friendship. It may mean a friendship is no longer a, what do we say, like a physical interactive friendship anymore. There might be parted directions. There's all kinds of things that can happen, as we all know, but it's first of all assessing. So recognizing, being with the emotion, being with the feeling, being with the memory. If it's coming up, is it coming up because we are in resistance to anything? Because you see, when something is coming up, it may not even have anything to do with that person. If that person is maybe the catalyst, or that situation is a catalyst to an emotion, is it possible that the emotion that's coming up is actually a repeating emotion that might be in other areas of your life? Or it may be in relationship to how you're feeling about yourself in some way. So the only way you're going to really understand that is by being willing to investigate. And most importantly, be willing to investigate in a self-compassionate way, which means I'm looking at my part in things. I'm looking at what, rather than looking at it as they did this to me or this happened to me, look at it as, what did this teach me? What could I have done differently in this situation? Am I repeating any of these things currently, these behaviors? Am I repeating any of these, and a lot of times these thought patterns to myself? Am I continuously repeating that? Because what if that is coming up because that was something, a situation, a relationship that was a pattern that was no longer working in your life, so it had to change. So, you're with somebody that you're both making changes. You're in a relationship, you're both in forward movement, but this old pattern has come up. So, you really have to understand what's the circumstance around it. Now, questions you want to ask yourself is, number one, is this true? Is what I'm feeling true in this moment? So, if you're looking at it as this hurt that I feel, this heaviness that I feel, is it true that this feeling is actually happening right now? Or is it a memory? Is it something that I experienced it before? Am I perceiving a current situation as something that's occurred in the past? So understanding, is it in the mental? Is it in the emotional? Is it in the body? How am I reacting to this? And so this is all done through self-evaluation, self-investigation. And as we know through the healing journey, we do not heal by climbing into other people's situations or other people's perspectives or what they did. We have to climb into ourself and be willing to go deeply within ourself to be able to let go. But also remember that letting go of something isn't always, like you were saying, is it something that I actually need to get rid of? Well, what if it's not something I need to get rid of? What if it's something that I can apply value to, that I can then look at it as a signpost of growth? This is what I learned from this. Can I look at the bigger perspective of this situation? This is how this happened for me. This is what it has gifted me. Because of this situation, I now go forward with more awareness. Because sometimes something comes up because we don't like how we may have acted or reacted in the past. Maybe it brought out something in us, and we just need to acknowledge it. So you have to really be willing to go into the feeling, the emotion, and understand in which direction is it coming from? Where is it going? When you're looking at it specifically in a relationship that is working towards a common goal, which means you're headed in the same direction of growth. And growth is not something that's equal, it's something that is in balance, meaning that you're able to work off of each other for the purpose of growth to create something deeper, richer, for the purpose of peace within each other. So you want to know, am I in this situation with this other person? Are we headed in the same direction? So if you can say, yes, we're headed in the same direction. No, this is not true. This situation or this trigger that I felt is not true to where we are today. So at that point, you say, well, why did it come up? It may have just come up for that acknowledgement because you're in a new cycle. Because when you're in a new cycle, you're creating new pathways of belief. You are like neurotransmitters in the brain, everything is changing. So to be able to continue forward in a new cycle, you have to have some sort of a acknowledgement of where you've been, right?
And it's totally like, it's almost like, what's the movie? What is that? Inside Out or whatever, there's like, I like imagine like all the spirit people are like the inside out people, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, let's bring this up again to see if she's changed her thought processes. Nope,
Yes.
she failed. Okay, next cycle we'll bring her right back through.
Yes. And that's exactly it. That's how it is. So, when you can acknowledge that, many times the acknowledgement of that, and to work through it, maybe a little journaling, writing some notes, going through a meditation or a healing process with those feelings. So the acknowledgement of it is all that is needed to move past it. Again, letting go of something is letting go of the pattern. You don't have to always let go of the people energetically. You let go of how you relate to the people, how you relate to the relationship, how you relate to the situation. Maybe the situation that you're in, let's say if you're moving forward with this person, letting go of the old version of the relationship, letting go of the old habits, the old ways of relating. And of course, when we let go of something, we need to be looking at what are we replacing it with. So if I'm letting go of a way that I related to my partner or my friend, my family member, and this person is still in my life, we're moving forward, we're growing together, how do we work through whatever situation this was that we had an issue with? How do we deal with that today? How do we go forward with that? So it's reinstilling, we're going over what is it that we're doing today. And that is a process, because you may be in, you could be a couple years down the road and all of a sudden something comes up from the past. You're like, well, where the heck did that come from? Why did that come up?
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean it's going to keep reoccurring. When something continues to reoccur, then that's something that you may have some deeper layers to go into. And that's awareness. The only way that you're going to get awareness is by willing to look at it and allowing it to rise up. Meaning, if you don't understand it in this moment, that's when you want to call upon those in spirit that can assist you, call upon your higher self, and you ask for clarity. Help show me the pathway through this.
Mm-hmm.
Help show me what I'm not seeing right now. And that's also, this is the work that you're doing within yourself, because we can reach on the outside of ourselves and we can receive help, but it's all there to help us take that information to then go inside and reassess. Maybe something's repeating because there is change occurring within you and it's time to go in a different direction. Maybe it's reoccurring because, it's something that is in the back of your mind that you've been resisting and you're not willing to look at because it creates pain, and you may not have the awareness to that. But once you start investigating it, you go, oh, wow, I've been doing things to avoid looking at this. It's amazing how our egos protect us. It's amazing how our brains will work to hide things from us. And we can very easily live going along and thinking everything's just fine, that our healing, we're focusing on everything on the outside of us and doing things that, and I, for one, this is something that came up in my awareness in the last week. I was here thinking this is what needs to change to get to this next stage. And I was placing all of my hands on the outside of me, pointing to what needed to change. And the truth was, it was me that needed to change the way I was relating to it. So we're never in this place of like, there's nothing that I have that I don't need to work on, or I'm never in this space. When we're growing, sorry.
Go ahead. When you're like, I realized all the fingers were pointing out and it was me that needed to change. How do you make sure that you're being healthy with that? Because there are sometimes the other person needs to change.
Well, and that's right. So it's not a black and white thing, right? So let's say there has to be some common ground. So there very well could be something that needs to change within a dynamic in a relationship, because relationships, and it was so funny because I heard this on a podcast the other day. There was a man that was talking about intimate relationships, and he was talking about his wife, and he says, when I was dating my wife, I had this goal of marriage. It was like this next step that I needed to take. And then I had this step of wanting to have children. And he says, so I would date my wife, I would bring her flowers, I would do all these things. And then when the goal of marriage came and kids came, everything started to change, and then he started to feel like his independence was taken away. So he would continuously reach for things that would give him his sense of independence. But what was happening was he was pulling back on the marriage. He didn't change on how he felt to his wife, but he was searching unknowingly for his own independence so that he felt he still had some sense of autonomy, because he spent so much time focused on business and providing and all of these other things. So you can see from that perspective, this man, he wasn't in a space of I don't love my wife anymore, but he wasn't thinking about the behaviors that he had at one time, because the priorities started to shift, and she was feeling like he wasn't invested in her anymore, like he had no interest in her anymore. And so she would start to take that as rejection and start to roll with that rejection. So you can see how events in our life and circumstances in our life, in relationships, can start to pry the dynamics or the directions, and there can be a lot of hurt that's in place when really the core issue is generally the same. There needs to be some attention towards self. However, that doesn't mean that this man that I'm speaking of didn't have some behaviors to change, right? So she's looking at the fact that she feels is resentful. She feels that she's not being appreciated for everything that she's putting into the relationship. And he's focused on, his business and on having time away from the family because of stress, because he doesn't feel like he's anything else aside from a provider. When really there has to be some sort of common ground that he creates in his life where he's giving himself some balance, where he is looking at the priorities and understanding that no longer showing his wife attention and priority to what's important to her and to their marriage, then to her it looks as though all of his focus is running away, is being away from the family. So there's a dynamic that needs to change, and communication needs to happen. So you can see how easily in that situation the woman could become resentful, or the wife could become resentful, and she pulls away. You go on for a period of time that way, and drifting starts to happen more and more and more, and people change. And then coming together is difficult because there's been such a big gap, and existing more of a keeping a structure or an illusion of a family, and there's no meat and potatoes that's actually occurring in the relationship. There's no richness in the relationship. So in relationships, it is very important that when we're looking at, okay, something is not right here, I don't like how this feels or this comes up, is really assessing compassionately what it is that you want and what it is that you expect, and how realistic is that for this moment in your life. Right. So, like for myself, for example, Rob and I have had to come, and I say come back to the table or come back together many times, because we've gone through different points in our marriage. We've had crisis. We have a little boy with autism. We have a daughter now that was diagnosed with autism that has her own challenges, another daughter that's in a completely area of her life. So we could be pulled in many different directions. And the importance of communication is coming back to the table and saying, okay, this is what I need in this relationship. What can I provide for myself? What can I give myself? But what do I need help with? And sometimes that help is communication. Sometimes that help is having the relationship not all be about the structure of the family, and have it be about each other. Right? So it's reassessing our marriage, but reassessing ourselves as individuals, and being able to ask for not only time together, but ask for space.
Well, I was just going to say, I wonder if even their issues are reflections of issues that maybe you need help with. So he's saying he needs like space and he needs independence. And so then, oh, very, empathetic wife says, okay, well, go out and have this space, but maybe it's also a reflection why you need space as well.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think, just men and women can handle different things. And
Yes. Yeah. But
then,
it's also identifying in your relationship where your strengths and weaknesses are. And I don't mean weaknesses as something that's a negative, but there's balance in relationships. So it's identifying as your situations change, as your goals change, you know, who has more of a strength in this direction. So where does one need more support? So it's really understanding where those dynamics are. And as you grow in your relationship, that may change. That's why it's so important to keep communication as a very important thing. Very important.
yeah,
Being on the same, I always say going in the same direction. You don't have to always be in the same lane, but in the same direction.
yeah. But it seems like even the communication, it's so important because it helps you identify, because if this wife were to say, yep, go out every Friday, have your independence, then so now at least she's communicating what he needs, and it's not, this like he's leaving me every Friday,
Mm-hmm.
but she has empathy for it. But then I feel like there still would be resentment. So then she has to say, I feel like that's when you have to go mirror. If my husband is needing independence, then maybe I need independence
Yeah.
too. So
Yes.
go out
Yes.
every Saturday night or something,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
um, like kind of checking it there. Okay, something you need, then maybe that's something I need for the balance.
That's
And
right.
you're just, your red flag is going off faster than mine, but it's still a
Yes.
need less.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Because it can't be like not everything is going to appear equal, but there has to be a consideration in balance. And it's up to us each as individuals. So in this particular circumstance with the husband and wife, it would be up to the wife to be able to identify what she does need, to be able
Mm-hmm.
to communicate that. So by looking at where his needs are, because in relationships, there is so much mirroring that does take place.
Yeah.
And because the situations can be different and resentments start to step in, and roles and sometimes unappreciated roles and those type of things that take place, that's what starts to drive apart that communication, and it ends up being well, you don't do this and you're always doing this, when it needs to be, well, what do I need? What am I seeing in this situation that I need? And how do we go about filling that need? What can I fill that need for myself? And maybe what can I ask for assistance from my partner?
So, okay, so in that instance too, I'm thinking, because I also think this too, it's so funny because you're like naming that example. So then I go back to my life and I'm like, I don't know what the mirrored reflection is. Like, I feel like I just failed at the self evaluation. But then when you say need, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, that wife needs her husband to be more maybe present or more, because she's feeling abandoned, right? So
Mm-hmm.
husband needs to be more present. That's what she needs. So when you get over these, so then I guess you need to say, okay, well, I need my Saturdays and I need you on Monday through Wednesday or something. You gotta communicate, right? So, but what I'm thinking is that a good place to start, where you have this old wound that keeps coming up,
Mm-hmm.
and to self analyze it, right? The good question to ask would say, what did I need in this situation?
Mm-hmm.
So that they
Mm-hmm.
figure out what was hurt, or, what emotions were kind of coming up.
Yes.
And then maybe, so I'm thinking, okay, so I'm going back forward to this wife. She's looking at her husband and she's saying, what did she need? She needed more support, probably.
Yes.
She's
Yes.
probably lonely, so she needed more company.
Yep.
And she probably needed more help with her kids.
Right.
Because let's.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's
Okay,
right.
so she would say those things or come up with those things. And then you would say, okay, but now in my life, I have support for my husband. I'm not lonely. And is that what you're saying? Because, one of the things you said was like, is this true?
Mm-hmm.
When the past comes up, you have to perceive it. Is this even a true perception of the events that are happening right now?
Right.
So is that what you would do? Would you take those things that you need? You know, it's obviously going to take a lot of work when you're
Yeah.
not in a.
Yeah, you're not going to be doing this when you're in the fight or flight mode, or when you're, because in those, when you're in the trigger, when you're in that space, your job is to neutralize the trigger.
Right.
Right. So, whatever you need to go through that, and then with the self-evaluation, all of that comes when you're able to give yourself the space to be able to do that, and to not let it go too far, because if you let it go too far, chances are you're not going to go back into it until something comes up again. So you want to keep it in a close period of time to allow yourself, and usually, like, let's say you're having a trigger on a Monday, you give yourself the space of a few days to kind of let it settle. And most times it's going to be about the right time on the second day after a trigger. Now, not everybody does things the same way. It depends on how you operate. You might feel good being in that energy as soon as you get time to yourself to sit down and start to work through it. But you have to understand that when you're processing, or when you're working through to understand through self-evaluation, it takes a bit of time for everything to come in, to settle in. You might get some things very quickly, but that's why reacting is not the best thing. Where you want to sit back and just let everything simmer and settle, and not take any reaction right away, because you can have, once you ask self-query, you do some journaling, you add some time for reflection, for releasing some of the pain or discomfort, and then what by doing these things, it creates clarity. When we ground ourselves, when we journal, when we allow ourselves to take meditation to, say, clear our chakras, whatever we are doing around this space of self-evaluation. And this is why your spiritual practices every day are so important, because the spiritual practices helps clear out all the excess energy to allow us, when these triggers do come, because life happens, that's the way it is. It's an up and down experience, but it allows it to come, say, more noticeable. We've got more awareness to it, and we're able to process things quicker. So that's why the day-to-day, the exercising all of these things from day to day, and having our spiritual practices, why they're so important, because they help us process our life. They help us process our emotions. Yeah.
So I feel like my triggers are so physical. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's weird. I feel like all of a sudden I start feeling like lightheaded and
Mm-hmm.
almost like dizzy. And I feel like throat chakra, like my throat sore,
Mm-hmm.
get
Mm-hmm.
your stomach. You know what I mean? Like, and it
Yeah.
just, it's like I feel my vibrations are here, and then they just go, and
Yeah.
they think. And
Yeah.
the only thing that gets me out of that is to like, take a shower.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's not like you can take a shower, like, it's not the easiest of clear.
No. No, but you can run your hands in. You can run your hands under cold water. So you can turn on the tap and just get the cold water going, and just run your hands under that water. Go through a hand washing motion, to help reset your energy. You're grounding yourself, like anything with the earth, with you running, fresh air, any type of nature, being out in that element at all, if you can, is really beneficial as well. Shower for me is a big thing. Taking a bath or shower, even being able to, if you can, close your eyes for 20 minutes. If you can take yourself out of noise, if you can, and giving yourself 5 minutes of just a little bit of peace and quiet is helpful.
All right, so I'm gonna go take a shower
Yeah.
and then, or rest my eyes, and then I'm gonna come and I'm gonna, oh my goodness, excuse me. I'm gonna come and I'm gonna journal, and
Yeah.
then I'm I'm going to ask myself, what did I need in this situation?
Mhm.
And then perceive whether or not that was true, if my needs were being met or not.
Mhm. Yes. Yes, because at the end of the day, every single one of us, what we do, how we feel, what the things that we do, whether we're aware of it or not, is we're looking to have our needs met. That's what everybody is doing. They're working to have their needs met. And so understanding what are those needs helps us understand why we behave in the way that we do, and maybe where we have expectations and where we need to have expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all part of the evaluation, but it also helps us understand that when somebody on the other side of the relationship is doing something, it's not always, sometimes it is, but it's not always a deliberate manipulation or a, deliberate, I'm trying to hurt you, but maybe is some unawareness to their own coping or their own having their own needs met. And so it's really good and valuable to be able to understand these things as part of understanding human behavior. And when we can understand our own behavior, that helps us navigate and discern and be able to ask for what we need. And to be able to know that, if we're not being given what we know we are deserving of, that we do need, then we need to make the adjustments or have the conversations to be able to put that out on the table, the communication to say, this is a requirement for me. This is what I need. Because when we hold those in, once we have the awareness of them, we hold those in, then they become the festering dragon that will resurface its head once again. Right? Are we still
Okay.
recording?
I don't know. I had a call come in. It said put your phone on do not disturb, and I did that.
Yeah.
And I had a call come in just now, and now it started my time over again.
Okay, it says we're still recording on my end. It still says recording. So
Okay.
I don't know if it's still recording you or not. I'm not sure.
Okay, it
We
makes
can
me
we can end it there just in case. Just in case.
okay.
Hopefully y'all are seeing Maren.
I
We're not
know.
sure we're not sure what's going on right now. But we did get the important part out. We got the
We did.
important part out.
We
Yeah,
did.
that was number 46, and we managed to get the whole thing out.
Yes, we tried on our computers, and then Michelle went to her phone, and I was still on my computer. Now we're both on our phones, and it instructed me
Yeah.
to put my phone on do not disturb, and I did, but I still got a call come in, so I don't know how that's possible. But anyways, maybe it only does it for like, there's no way. I don't know. I was gonna say maybe it only does it for like 30
Yeah.
minutes. No, there's no way. Um,
No.
all right. Yeah, I do want to tell I have more questions, but I'm really nervous that I'm not recording or that
Yeah.
somehow I have to
Well,
like
we can do a part two to this one because maybe everybody listening to this, maybe you've got questions about relationships and about triggers and how to let go, how to move forward, how to transform from one state to another. And I know that many of us are experiencing new states of relationships as we're experiencing new awarenesses and states of ourselves, and as our belief systems are shifting. This is a really important topic to have, and it's very vulnerable. It is a vulnerable topic. It's vulnerable to ourself, and even to speak it outwards, to others, to say, like, yeah, I do have needs. I do need this or require this from myself. Or to even say that maybe something from 5, 6 years ago has popped up again. And to feel like it's okay to have a conversation about that. It's okay that that happens.
well, that's what that was going to be my next question was on take number 34 we talked about traumas.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
say, okay, you know, this is what I do if something's maybe coming up right now that's a trigger. But then what about those one events that you're always, you know, thinking about that trigger you too? How do you like disconnect from those events, whether they're a big T or a little T? So
Yes.
it's in trauma, big trauma, little trauma.
Yeah.
But that could be next week
Yeah.
or
We can have another conversation about that one. And I do recommend if you guys have questions around this, I think this is an important topic. So, you know, ask us what you would like us to cover, but we will revisit this again and have, because I think it's a good one. We're all changing. We're all changing.
yes. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Hopefully, you can see me and hear me. Otherwise, Michelle's just going to look like the crazy lady.
Otherwise, I'm just crazily looking and going, hey, Maren's actually talking. So if it's just me, then smiling. Maren just said thank you. Cuckoo. Oh, well.
All right.
Well, if they thought I was cuckoo then, they think I'm cuckoo now. Who cares? I don't care.
They'll be like, she actually thinks she's talking to another person.
I do that all the time. Like my family is so used to me having conversations on my own that Rob doesn't. He says, "Were you talking to me?" I'm like, "No." He just goes, oh, "Okay."
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. All right.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much, Michelle. Happy Canada Day.
Thank
Enjoy your
you.
week off.
Yeah.
And sorry this took an extended period to record because of all of the little electrical fireworks going off. But
That's okay. That's all
yeah.
right.
But enjoy your day with your family. Everybody in
Thank
the
you.
US. Enjoy the 4th of July this week.
Yes. Yes.
Stay safe. And
Yes.
we will see you next week.
See you next week, everybody.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.